Okay. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're doing great. The things that we are going to do for today is going to talk about arrays. But before anything, I know many of you have used arrays. You are master of it for sure. But let's look at it from this perspective. What if you want to teach someone how to deal with arrays? The problem that I dealt with was I went to university saying they're saying that okay, today we have linked lists, and linked list is like this. Today we have arrays. Array is one of the data structures. It works like this, and so on and so forth. So what the problem is, you deal with some data structures without knowing the philosophy behind it. Why we get to the point to use something like arrays, linked list, and so on. What are the benefits of each, and why they have created such things in the first day? These are the questions that we try to answer for today. Let me ask you something, and anyone step in. The good thing is the classes compared to the beginning of the semester is kind of semi-private. So anybody can just enter. Imagine that we have num0 as the first variable, num1, num2, num3, num4. We have just 5 different variables, and we want to allocate different values into those variables. We know that there are like, I don't know, plates. You put the values inside, and now we have 5 values. Alex, is it fine? The format, is everything fine? Please confirm.
Um, what do you mean by the format?
Is it fine if we have something like this to deal with 5 variables? It's not a trick question. Uh,
you mean like the name? You could, or you can make the name a little bit more specific. If you just have numbers, or if you have numbers from the user, maybe you can use say user number one, user number two. I'm not sure if that's what you're asking.
yeah, that could be a better approach, but not being very much worry about the meaningful names. I think that that is logical, right? We have 5 names here. But
Yeah.
what if we have 5, what if we have 50 uh, variables? Then it's not going to be easy like that, right? Imagine that if you say that I can just say A, B, C, and D if you have 4, right? But what if you have 40 different variables? It's not going to be like A, B, C, D. We are going to run out of letters, right? That's one problem. The other problem is accessing the variables, right? Whenever you want to deal with such a thing, you have to say, okay, enter the first number, enter the second number, enter the third number, and so on and so forth. Without any further just saying, let me just bring you to this example. Nothing is wrong with this one, right? Control C. I'm gonna bring it to you here. We have all those values. We want to initialize them. Yeah, that's one step. The second one is we want to show the values. It works, no problemo. But you can see how cumbersome the process would be if you have, instead of 550 or 500 values. It cannot work like that. Imagine that you should hire someone just to type all those things, or copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. So it's not efficient. Let me just give you another example. Imagine that we have something like I equal to 10, and we want to say num1 is the multiplication of I, which is 10, into 0, 1, 2, 3, and just show the values. Yeah, it works, but not efficient. Okay, let me just bring you to one example if you want to teach arrays to someone. You could say having variables separately could be like these houses, right? Look, Alex, num1, num1, num2, num3, num4, you see those houses separately, and addressing them is not easy, right? Imagine that we have a family of 5 people, then they live in different places in Toronto, for example. And then to access, you have to mention the address separately for each. But what if we have an apartment, a condominium that it's like this, and all the family members are in one building? It's going to be way easier to access those family members. Let's say the um, the building, for instance, is Thornhill building or whatever. Let's call it int array. And then you can just say, go to and imagine that in each floor, we have just only one kind of apartment unit. So you just say num0, num1, num2, num3, num4 to access them. Actually, you're going to say int array 0, int array 1, int array 2, and so on and so forth, right? Look at this one. This is one of the examples, and to tell you something that we haven't worked, and it's going to be the material of next semester. And I don't expect that Reza grasp more than 20–30%. I just want to plant that seed for now and think about it later. And when we deal with object-oriented, we can understand more. Listen to this part. Everything in programming is either an object or class. I repeat it, everything in programming is either an object or class. So here, whenever you say int bracket int array, you're announcing, it is something like saying int num, huh? But you're saying I want to have something in the class of integer arrays, and whenever you want to allocate memory to it, you are going to use new keyword. So new is nothing but saying I want to allocate memory. How many of those samples you want to have? I'm saying 5. So it is the left side is like having a plan. The right side, when you say new, is like creating an object based on that plan. You see what I'm saying? So I'm emphasizing on this fact that this is not the object-oriented class. We just want to have a little bit of idea why we use new. Whenever you see new, it means allocate memory, create a physical object based on the plan. So how many of them you want? I'm saying 5. So it is going to create 5 units on top of each other. The first one is going to be 0. It starts from 0, then 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Now it's time to just go to the first, and I'm gonna bring more examples. I copy that for you, but let's just explore this together. It is saying that arrays are used to store multiple values in a single variable instead of declaring separate variables for each value, instead of saying num0, num1, and so on. So the way that you declare is something, the way that you assign value is something else. You might say that, Reza, what is happening? There is no new, there is no, for instance, string. Is it gonna work? All right. We are gonna talk about this in no time, but imagine that we have already something like this: string cars So we can say, we are going to say, we are going to have an array of strings named cars, and these are the values that we have in our array. What about checking the first element of the array, which is going to be index 0? Let's just bring that and see together, and it's going to work like this, Volvo. Okay. You said something, Reza, but you didn't do that. I'm telling, we are going to talk about this extensively, but look at this one. Now I say new string, and I say the same thing, and still it works. Now I'm saying I want to have 4 elements, and it still works. Look at this one. If I make mistake saying that it is 5, then it doesn't. If I say 3, then it doesn't. So it means that if we have number of elements in the array, we should be very much careful. So instead of being careful, let's just give the responsibility to the compiler, to the actually IDE to take care of it and say, okay, you know what? You just go count the numbers and you can find how many we have elements over there. Is this clear so far? So what I want you please do first, let's just write something as simple as this.
It's week 11 this week, right? Or are we already on week 12?
Pardon me?
I'm asking, are we on week 11 already, or is it week 12?
I think that it is week 11, yes. Or week 12, sorry. It's
I have 2 classes that counted the reading week as a week, so they're a week ahead, and the rest of my classes are a week behind, so it's hard to keep track.
Oh, yeah, it's hard. Well, my apologies. Let me just create something from the scratch. Based on what we have at Centennial, they do not count reading week as one of the weeks. So we have 14 weeks. But in some other places that I taught, you are right. They have 15 weeks. They do not, they count reading week as week number 8. So considering that, what week are we in? Week 12 or what? It should be week 11 because we have 3 more weeks to go. So it's going to be week 12, 13, and 14. So I think that keep it week 11 is kind of good. And I have something to tell, but at the end of the session, we are going to talk about that, about the plan for the rest of the, because next week we are going to finish our, what do we call it? Content. I had different things, but I know that I had different plans for saying, okay, let's have something extracurricular. But Michael, believe it or not, 1 in 1,000, 1 in 1,000,000, and it happened that one person is going to the department saying that we paid for learning C# and Reza and cover the content, and Reza covered something outside the course outline, and you have to go and say that I already finished and so on. So not to get to those kind of 1 in 1,000,000 cases, what I'm gonna do, and I have this ability, to just say a few of our team members that I know, they can have a they can have an advanced exam, means 1 week ahead of time you can just finish. I'm gonna just open the advanced exam for those people if they want to get it out of their way. The same day, the same time, I'm gonna just go and review the whole content since the beginning till the time that we, as far as we can just cover. I'm gonna do that. That is gonna be week number 13. So week number 13 is going to be for 2 tasks in advanced exams. And week number 14, I have already had sessions with some of you, or I can say a good number of people. But week number 14, I'm going to dedicate 4 people. I have 4 systems. I'm going to just dedicate 4 people um, every 2 hours. And everyone should have one-on-one kind of exam with me. I need to monitor how they proceed. Um, they're going to answer my questions. So it's not going to be just, hey, let's show up in the exam. It's going to be 4 people in 2 hours, next 4 people in 2 hours, and so on. So that day is dedicated for 16 people among the people that I know. And the rest, yeah. I'm gonna tell you next week who are eligible for advanced exam. So that's kind of not option for everybody. For instance, I know very much Michael. I follow Michael and Kevin as well. Adewale. I don't want to tell all the names. Maybe people say that because their camera is open, you have chosen those people. Maria is, for example, among them. Pooja is among them. Farhina is among them. So I choose those people that they can have, and you have one more week to take care of the other things. Is it clear for people who are in? Okay. And because it is going to be confusing, guys, it's going to be a kind of silent thing. If I just announce it, people are going to just send ton of email to me saying that, what do you mean? Are we going to have exam in week number 13, week number 14? So the easy job is, I'm going to open for you. I'm going to call it alternative, nothing more, nothing less. And it's going to be alternative test 3. And that is the plan. Apart from it, yeah, hopefully next week I'm gonna talk to those who like to, we started something similar to that. I'm gonna talk to those people who are interested. I spent time like 90 minutes for 2 of our team members. I have documented some stuff. Next week, we're going to talk about, okay, what could be the next step? It's going to be part of our journey. Again, next week, hopefully, we are going to finish the whole content. Let's continue our things. Okay, we already saw that W3 schools help us for these kind of examples. And you see, is there anything new here? Aha. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 types. Actually, I'm gonna add one more into it. You're gonna see in our examples. I'm going to maximize okay. You see these 4s? The first one is saying, I have a string array called cars, and please provide memory for 4 string array elements. Does that make sense? I repeat it. I'm going to have a string, when you see this, array called cars. And please, when we say new, provide memory for 4 elements that they are string arrays. I'm saying here, okay, I want to have a string array called cars, and I want to dedicate memory for 4 elements, and those elements are Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. In the previous one, we didn't allocate any. So the thing is, for such cases, you are going to assign values later. So it's not going to happen at the same time. Look at the next one, please. In here, I don't say the number. I didn't say 4, 3, whatever. And the computer, the compiler is going to count the numbers and say, okay, I know he needs 4, for example. Here, I don't say new string kind of thing. You see that? I don't say that, but it works exactly the same. Means that this is a shorthand of this one. Guys, this is the most complete version of it. This is just saying, hey, I don't need to worry about, and yeah, I have it later. Joseph, please.
So, Professor, the third one, it said new string, but no allocation of memory. So how would it know how to allocate all four of them in it if there's no memory
Well,
specified?
that's a very good question. Actually, when you say new, it knows that it should assign memory for it, and the memory should be like a string. Is it clear till this moment? We know that we know that we need to allocate memory, and we know that it's a string array. But the question is, how about knowing how many memory space we need to have, right?
Mhm.
It is going to go through the curly braces and understand that, okay, we have 4 elements, so technically it should be 4.
Okay, so can you say that we could technically remove the new string and just add as many as we want, and it would still read it the same?
Well, you need to have this structure, or you can just have this structure. In
Exactly,
either
yeah, on the
cases,
bottom.
yes, yeah. In either cases, you can just, yeah, as one of the good thing about, but you cannot, there's one thing. How about this? Can we say that, okay, Reza, say nothing here and later start adding values? No, this is not acceptable.
Okay.
We are going to see some examples to clarify. I have, yeah, more examples, and hopefully it's gonna um, make it clearer. How about this one? I intentionally brought, oopsie, yeah, I brought it to this part. It is saying that in C#, all arrays are dynamically allocated. So C# array is an object of base system, system.array. So it has come from there. The other thing is array elements can be of any type, including array type. One of the things that I want to tell is you can have an array of a structure, struct. You can have array of objects. You can have array of anything that you define. So we have standard types that we have already used, like string, like integers, floats, doubles, and so on. But it is possible to define your own type. And you can have array of those things too. Okay, so let's go to, that is funny that it shows all in dark color. I'm gonna go to the top of the page, and I very much like the way that it shows. It says that we define the array and we say the data type of it. Look at this one. Here we have 9 elements. The indices would be from 0 all the way to 8. So that is why you're going to see later, if I want to have a kind of loop to go through the elements of the array, we are going to say I is equal to 0 as long as I is less than the array's length. And the reason for that is always we have one element less than the index is 1 lower than the total number of elements. For instance, here we have 9 elements, but the maximum index that we have is 8. There are some nice examples. You can just find them at your, look at this one. Partially it is answering your question. One is saying that int weekdays, and then we say here, guys, this is just declaration. But when you want to allocate memory, right? You have to use new. In this example, I should say string 7, or I should leave it to computer to calculate how many elements do I have in here, and just let's place it there, something like this. Okay, so we already covered these examples. I want you all, please, try this, and at the beginning, we're gonna have ton of typo. Yeah. Maria, so is everyone going to sit with you for 2 hours for exam? Yes. Not everyone, but those that I'll explain that. Still, we have 3 weeks. So next week is going to be the time that I explain the details. But you are one of the people that you can just participate in exam in advance. Michael, I saw your question. The thing is, that is one of the reasons that we have linked lists, right? When you create an array with any of those formats and you decide to have 4 elements, it's not easy to add any new. You need to create first one array with a bigger number of elements, and then copy each element that you already have to a duplicated array. And then that is why we don't have that add remove that we have in linked lists. And that's a very valid question. Okay, so guys, if you are done with that, give me a signal. If everybody could finish this, please type 1. Excellent, thank you. Getting to the question that Michael asked, let me just quickly tell one thing. Guys, imagine that we have a structure like array, like this. Is it possible that you just say, you know what, one of our family members immigrated to Australia, so let's just eradicate that floor? Is it possible? No, it's not. So you should only just leave it empty, or you decide to rent it or whatever. Imagine that another family members come to join you. Is it possible to just add 1 floor on top of it? No, not possible. So what is the solution for that? Definitely have seen townhouses, right? For that thing, you prefer to say, okay, every family member lives in townhouses. And if somebody goes, you can just easily sell it. If somebody joins, you can buy another townhouse. So they are not going to be as fast as the way that you can access the elements inside array, but they are reasonably easy to expand or collapse if you want. And that is what we call linked list. In other words, no one woke up just one day saying that, okay, I'm fed up. I don't want to use integers separately. Let's just create array. There was a kind of need behind it. We want to kind of have a structure that has higher performance in dealing with values. If you are certain about the number of elements, go for arrays. If you are not, for instance, you're trying to have a company and you're not sure if that company is going to have 5,000 members after 3 months or 5 million members after 3 months, then use a structure that has that flexibility, and that is linked list. Okay. But what about, for instance, arrays usage? How many courses you have? It is limited. In each semester, you have between 3 to 7, let's say 10 maximum. I'm going to just have a little bit of room for special cases. Then you see that nobody's going to take 20 courses in one semester, right? So 10 is reasonable. And I can just play around with saying that, okay, who cares? Let's have 2 extra room, 3 extra room for that kind of thing. Okay, getting to the next thing, I want you please say, just add one more stuff into it. I want you to just, a better version is the value in index, whatever is that array. Can you just show which value it is? I'm saying, say the value in index, do something here. Oh, who said that I want you to predict? Yeah, guys, it already said that. So the value in index I is something, but maybe you want to start from 1. Not a big deal. You can just say it like this. And it's going to say, for instance, the first value is 0, the second value is 10, and so on and so forth. Okay? So just spend a few seconds, modify your code to show number and the content inside that, like this. Okay. So modify the code, and whenever you could just make it work like this, please give me a signal. Type 2 this time. Thank you, Michael, Kevin, Eskim. Okay. So the other thing is, okay, everybody, let's just type this as one sample, and we're gonna work with ton of examples, but let's just try this. Take your time. Okay. if you're done with that, let's bring it to another level, make the code. One quick question. Here I use a length, and if I say less than or equal, so the length is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to check index 5 as well. Are we going to have that? You see that it's going to give error because it is going to say out of range exception. So that's a good practice. We can just have a try catch that we learned, but right now we understand why we need to say less than length. The other thing that I want to tell here is, look at this one. I always need to say for int I. That is not very much efficient. Is there any easier way? So way after having for, they created something for us called for each. And simply you are going to say for each string car in cars. And that's a kind of nice naming convention. It is going to work like that. And saying cars, you can just say a, and it works the same way. It's not a kind of things that bring you error if you don't say cars. But always it is nice to say, for instance, employee, employees, product, products, the singular and the plural form in one place. So this is the efficient way of going through the elements of your array. You use the same thing for list as well. So please just convert it to this. Okay, so if you're done with that, let's go to another example. And this is kind of complete version. And Joseph, I hope we can address all the questions that you had. Okay, let's just see what is happening here. In the first one, we are saying that I want to have a string array calls cars1, and I want to dedicate or allocate memory for 4 elements in that string array. And then later, I don't know, in my code, I'm gonna decide to say in 0, we have Volvo and so on and so forth. But in the second one, I'm doing the declaration. This phase is declaration and initialization at the same time. And you see, let's say car 2. For car 3, we do exactly the same thing without counting the numbers, and it's going to ease the job for us, make the job harder for computer to count the numbers and bring that there. And then the next one, we are not using this part because we expect our friend to just know what we want, and it's a kind of shorthand. The other thing is, if you declare in one line, you can say later, allocate the memory, and those are the values that I want to bring. But this one is not allowed. You cannot say, okay, car 6, and say car 6 is equal to this. Okay? There is no shorthand if you define them in 2 lines. Yes, it is possible to say it like that, it works, but not in 2 lines. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to copy the first example to ease the job for everybody, but I want you to try the rest, and you don't need to have comments. You just need to have line 10, 13, 16, 18, and 19. So please just play around with these. And please have them because we are going to make it more complete in next sample. Okay, for those who left behind, because of the next example, I already copied that for you. Let me just do one thing. Dot, 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 dot. So then you know where to start after the last dot. Okay, so let's go to the next example. I mentioned it already here, that different ways defining a kind of complete version. It's not enough just to, and I want you please do that. It's not enough just to have those values. You want to see if really they work. So we need to have for each kind of thing. So please add to the code, sorry. Please add to the code for each string car in cars1, write that car and do the same thing for the next, okay? Well, definitely for the 6th one, we already said that it's not gonna work, we commented out. So please just complete the code. And I have a point, you might say, it is repetitive job. I have a reason to do that. So please just complete the code.
So we're just adding for each loop to each of the arrays.
Excellent, yes. Michael, do you see this dot, 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 dot that I write? And then, yeah, unfortunately, it's not gonna give me permission to send everything even now. So that's part of the code. Which one we finished? Car 3. So car 3 is 1, 2, 3. Yep. So from car 4, I'm going to, yeah, these two. So you need to copy those two. Hopefully I didn't mess anything. Oh, I have forgotten to, my apologies. Is it undoable? Delete, delete, yes. So, Control C. In the COVID time, we didn't use, I remember, we didn't use Zoom and we used something else and it was, yeah. And one of the students complained about me to her friend, saying that Reza is even slower than another prof. So, for instance, Prof A is very slow and Reza is horribly slower than that person. And instead of saying to the friend, send there and press dot, 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 dot to hide it. So that's what I learned. Anyway, so guys, if something like that happened, the good thing about Zoom is you can just click and delete it, so don't worry. Are we done? Everybody could finish this. But Alex, Kevin, Joseph, the thing that we can see here is we do something repetitive, like this part of code is not efficient, right? I want you please write a method that takes an array. This is the first time that we use a method that gets array as the input, right? So use a method, gets an array as the input, and do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Okay. It's good, Pooja. Yeah, I saw that. My suggestion is, what is the browser that you're using? Try Edge, Microsoft Edge. See if the problem persists, or you can resolve it by, yeah. Okay. If you have solved that, please send me in a private chat. And the thing is, Pooja, I understood why you cannot send, because you already sent your message here. So whenever the message is lengthy, you have to cut it into 2 parts, because Zoom has a 1,000 character limitation kind of thing. Okay. Any was in progress? Let's have one more minute. Correct, Eskim? Nice. Kevin? Excellent, Joseph. Bravo. So let's see what we can do. I'm going to just get rid of that part. So look at this one. Here I say static void display, but what I'm going to pass, it's not just string name, for example. I'm going to say whenever you get a string array called names, for every element called name, in names, just print that name. Does that make sense? Maria, is it clear, this one? The only thing is before we just use, for instance, int something, string something, float something. But here we are gonna say, I'm gonna pass a string array. And that's the name of the string. Okay, let's see how it works. This is the method. I just send it to everyone to have. And I just use those kind of frills below and above to just make it, yeah. Let's run. We have those elements here, and I said display names cars one, and you see that's the first. Then I just call that's the second, and so on and so forth. Okay. By saying that, now it is 10:30. Let's have a 10-minute break. We are gonna come back. So I'm gonna just have a timer, 10 minutes, and we are gonna continue our journey. How about that? Okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's get to this part. But Maria, can you hear me? If you can hear me, please type 1. Maria, can you hear me? No, I just wanted to clarify a little bit about the question that you had. We are going to have some of our team members, and I'm going to tell who would be those friends for 2 weeks from now to have advanced exam. So that's the plan. The rest of friends, they're going to participate in one-on-one kind of exam. The exam time originally is 1 hour, but I'm going to extend it to 2 hours. I'm going to provide 4 different computers. And the thing is, it's going to be 4 people at the same time. I check all the monitors, and once in a while, I'm going to mute all the others except one and talk to that person asking questions to know why they have typing the code the way that they do. I want to understand if they know what they are doing or that is just something that is there without any reason. Anyway, and the reason for that is in the previous exam that we had, I'm not fabricating the number. 1 out of 2 used language models. And I have real concern. The first week I mentioned that for any reason. I strongly believe that the reason that we are at Centennial learning these things is not to be master of ChatGPT, is to be able to type code and be a developer. And later, if you want to just go to any field, you can use this knowledge. The foundation should be there without getting help from ChatGPT. Except one that used ChatGPT for 2 times, saying that I mentioned that using ChatGPT in test 1 and 0 for that. In test 1, we had 2 students that they used vividly. I mean, just dump all the questions into ChatGPT. And we had other people that partially they used, but 2, I mean, just obviously just put everything there. They got the answer. Anyway, one of them already either dropped the course or changed the class. And the other person repeatedly used ChatGPT in assignments plus test 2. And I mentioned that this is a serious situation, and please consider it as a kind of last warning. And the person replied back that I used my own knowledge and I didn't use ChatGPT while you are saying it. What do you see at your end? And I was like, hey, don't ask me to tell you how I recognize, because then you know what. So, but the simple thing is, if people use language models, I teach AI. So that's not a tough thing for me to understand. And definitely I'm not going to reveal. And that's the only in my 8 years of teaching, that was the first time that I felt the fridge of integrity form, and I send it to the office, and that person has time for. I received different messages during, I want to share with all of you. And the reason for that is I actually extremely want this word of mouth to tell the others. If anybody asks you that, okay, how is Reza? And should we take the course with Reza or not? Definitely, I like to have this kind of comment about my classes that if you want to learn something and if you're serious about learning, choose Reza. That's the maximum compliments that I can get from uh, merci, Michael. That's the maximum compliments that I can get from anyone to say. And there are people told me that, that's the pressure of family. I was like, that's perfect. It's perfect time to say that, look, my result is like that, and the prof cut me, and I cannot do the job that I want, so I need to switch to another field. That's the best. And, please do not change the role of your prof to be someone who sits and say, okay, don't worry about the family. If that is your issue, I'm going to give you mark. That never happens, right? Or the other thing that one person said, I tried to combine my full-time work and full-time study, and that is today's message that I received. The thing is, for all those friends that we sat and talked, I never escalate the things. We tried to find solutions that works for all of us. I just want to tell you this because that's a kind of general statement. I had the pleasure of talking to many of our team members, and I loved the conversation that we had. But this is something in general, guys. I remember the time that I needed to work at the same time and study, and it didn't work together. So I just lowered down the number of units that I have, and I focused more on the study because I knew that study is going to be my future. Work is something that I need for my current, to bring the bread on the table. And if we know that, if we recognize those things clearly, we can just have a balance. And guys, it is not easy. Study is not easy. I'm telling you, the hardest thing that you do in your entire life is sitting and doing all these things. But the good thing is the output of this process is going to be amazing. You are going to recognize yourself as a different person with different caliber, different capacity, and handling things. When all the problems combine together, you have a better understanding of how to deal with them. And that result is not something that you can get it anywhere else. So tap on your shoulder. Imagine that when we started, how many people we had in the class, and look at the number of people that we already have. So it shows that you wanted, you made it till this moment, and I'm sure that you're going to be successful. And unfortunately, the things that I already said is mostly for those people, if not all, for those people that they don't show up in the class. So even if you learn 1 point from the prof, that would be great to just participate in that class. Just one special thanks to I want to mention that. I remember where Klena started the journey with us, and I had the pleasure of having session one-on-one exam last week. And Kudus, well done, Klena. Keep doing what you're doing. I had that with other friends as well, but I wanted just to tell the top among the rest who just made it a great progress. Now let's go to continue our journey. I hope that I answered, Maria, your question partially, but next week we're going to have a plan having Excel file, those who have this option to have exam in advance, but next week we're going to talk about this. Hopefully partially I answered your question. Anyway, let's go to this one. From this moment, we get to the slides that we have actually designed by Centennial. And I thought that before getting there, we need to know all those basic things, then we go to these slides. I'm gonna copy that for everyone. It's not a big thing. Please, everyone, copy that and run the code. And just answer one question. We want to know the length of each of these. So add this one, all these lines. You already have the code. There is nothing special. Just please type console.writeLine, the name of the array, and then dot length, and the result should be something like this. You have the code without, just do this. Okay, so whenever you are done, please type 1. Okay, can you please do this one? You have the first vowels. And then what we need to do is saying that for each element actually in vowels, type that one. Okay. Okay, one thing that I want you to do is please change this one to 4H, and I don't know how to do that. I want you please help me. And whenever you are done, we are going to continue. I was talking to myself for a while. Anyone can help this old guy? What can I do for changing this from 4 to 4H? Ask him saying, say first car, and after that we can say, well, unfortunately it ruins all the things. Oh boy, you know what I did? And that's why it ruins all the things. I teach Amazon AWS Q developer, and I installed that package. And Amazon Q developer is a tool to help you. I shouldn't teach you now. Is the thing that help you to guess, to have all those things. You see that whenever you define something, it guesses what to do next. So the things that I need to do is going there and say stop guessing. Amazon Q developer file submit. I need to go to the setting. Guys, don't see the things that you see. Alt C is going to give you that kind of thing anyway. I was like, I didn't have that trouble last week. Anyway, so here we say car vowel in vowels, and the only thing that I need to type here is just print vowel. Does that make sense? Not a good time to tell, but later, guys, when you think that you have enough, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Eskim, Michael, Toby, merci. The thing is later, there are two things that I can recommend. One of them is Cursor. The other one is warp.dev. Michael, do you have any other suggestion apart from Cursor and Warp? I know Michael is the god of these kind of suggestions. The thing is, Cursor uses Claude in background. I don't know, Claude or Cursor uses Claude or Warp. And the other thing is, which has 17 years kind of background in helping you to code, is this one, is actually AWS Q developer. And the good thing about this service is it is free of charge. And you can even chat for 50 times per month to the AWS asking more help. I know some people say that they use these tools and the speed of coding is 5 times faster. Yeah. The only thing is, Michael, for me, the good thing is when you have the idea, you just want to type it and it is like autocomplete. You see it and you press tab. That's the only preference that I have. But there is another thing that you can do with these tools, saying that this is my code. Can you make it better in terms of performance? Or can you find any vulnerability in terms of security? You know, these are the things. So Michael is saying, I still use AI for large templates, but not content. Yeah, that's a very wise way of. And Michael, what is your suggestion for people like me who started using tools like this, but at the same time, I try to make my logic strong enough for coding? What is your suggestion?
Just don't be dependent on it and make sure you always understand what's going on. That's the biggest thing. Make sure you know what it's doing, make sure that it only does exactly what you want, and make sure you understand what it is that it's producing, because otherwise you're not going to know if it's correct. It might still do what you ask it, but might not coincide with everything else. Like it might cause issues elsewhere, or it might change your code if you're doing something in the middle of like you mentioned, how can I make this better? You may be referencing that one little spot in your code, right? But it's going to go through all your code, and if it thinks that it should change something else because it does everything off of past experience, like it's just a prediction model, like I've seen this before, this is what works with this, so I'm changing this, but I'm also going to change this thing down here and not tell you. So don't be dependent on it. Use it for a tool. Make sure you understand exactly what it's doing. Make sure you learn from it. Learn from the AI. Don't be dependent on it.
Lovely.
That's it.
Nice. I'm gonna take that for sure, and hopefully everybody follow that as well. Merci. So let's go to the next step. And you see that this is the answer that we tried to use using for each. And the next thing is, once one of our team members said, Reza, I wish we could simply use console.writeLine for, what do we call it? For, I remember that. In one of the classes, one of the students said, hey, Reza, why when we have, for instance, prime numbers, why shouldn't we just say writeLine primes, and it gives us the whole, what do we call it? In here, array or list or something. Look, if I say writeLine primes, it's gonna say, apparently you have the system.in32. It's not gonna help me. If I say, okay, show me the length, it's going to show you the length, which is this. But iterating over the values that you have inside the array, you have no other way except saying for each element inside the whole elements and use it that way. Okay, just as a practice, I know that you have done a lot. I'm gonna give you the first 3 lines, but please just type that for each.
Reza, I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
In the for each loop, for example, in the example we have now, it says integer prime in primes. The integer prime is just we choose the name to give it. It's independent from the code, right? There's no prime yet. It could be anything. So if you write integer number in primes, for example, it would still work as
Yeah,
long as we. Okay.
yeah,
So it could be just any name.
sure. Actually, asking that question helps me to define one thing. The most important thing is saying whatever the type of your array is, you have to use the same type here. So if it is integer, you have to use integer. If it is character, you have to use character. And that's just a nice way of naming to say prime, primes, product, products. You know what I'm saying? Employee, employees. But it has nothing to do with this one. You can use any other thing and it's going to work exactly the same way. As you see, it works the same way. Huh? Okay, good question. Let's go to the next part together. And guys, the thing is, here we have static void something. Yeah. The whole question is make it simple. I'm going to get back to this, asking you, sorry, create a method. Let's call that method. I'm gonna just bring this one for you, Control C. Please complete the code. Instead of using all those things, let's create a code. Oh no. Now I cannot ask question. So now create a code for this function that it gets the array and it provides this thing inside it. You know what I'm saying? Create a method that gets an array and does the printing job inside that method, and you just call the method. I'm gonna pass you the whole code, and please Michael, you brought it to another level using dynamic. Bravo. Merci.
I was already playing with something and like with the arrays. I wanted to understand more about like creating the array with the list instance and adding, removing variables, etc. And I was playing with a pand anyway, so you have to create a new array and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, I needed something that would handle,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. The good thing that you created that way. If you want to use it for strings, it works the same way. If you want to use it for character or integer, that's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so Wang already sent the code. Thank you. Shuahan, right? If I'm not mistaken, Shuahan.
Shohan, yes.
Shohan. Shohan. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, you have the code, so please just change it, and it is super simple and straightforward. As always, for methods, we say static. We don't want to return anything, so it's going to be void, the name of a thingy. And then here, what is this one? This is an array of integers. So we are going to say int array, and the parameter that you want to, actually, this is the argument. Some people say that there's a argument parameter. I use them interchangeably. So then you're going to say for num in my array, then print num. So whatever you pass, if it's an array, it's going to go through all the elements and just show you that way. Farhina, bravo. Eskim as well. Okay, so let's go together to the next example. Good job, everyone. Thank you. And that is, imagine that we have something, guys, these are based on the slides. We want to use, let's make it a little bit challenge. How about this? I'm going to give you the whole thing here. And instead of using for each, we want to use what? We want to use do while. Just, can you please complete the code? Excellent. Lovely. The only thing is, yeah, let's just have one more friend to add that line. Actually, we need to have two things here. All the answers that I received, you just mentioned one line. So please complete, even those who sent. Okay, look at this one. If you say only just while and do not use counter plus plus, the problem would be it's going to be never-ending loop that just prints Mary. See what we have done. I'm going to get rid of that line. That's not important. And let me just, this is confusing after repeating that 100 times. I think that's going to be unnecessary to have this line. Okay, good. Sorry. Okay, now what we do actually, we define a string array called poem that has all those things. And then we say counter is equal to 0. And why we say counter equal to 0? Because we want to have an index to go through the first, second, third, all the way to the end. And what is end? Imagine that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the number of elements that we have. So the length is 5, but the indices would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Means that as long as the index counter is less than 5, which could be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, keep doing this. And what it is doing is showing the poem counter index, and then we add 1 into it, and we keep doing that till we get to number 5 and we exit the loop. Does that make sense? So it is going to exactly do the same thing. And I want you please help me change this one to while instead of do, and see if we need to do any changes inside the curly braces, or it can work if we just bring this guy there. So yeah, as you can see, it works without problem. So we can just use while instead of do while. And I'm going to go to the next example that we defined here. And yeah, this one is working with, let me just quickly give you just this part. I know, guys, you are the master, but let's just have some reviews. Use do while and show all the elements. And just remember, we are talking about the character array.
So we're turning this into a do while.
Well, absolutely. This is a new challenge. It is the vowels. Bravo, Joseph. Thank you.
What kept getting me, Professor, is when you're putting the counter in the square bracket, if you forget to do that, it keeps giving you that error, like string 32 or whatever, right? You just got to remember to put that into the right line, so it can give you the output.
Excellent. Good suggestion. what is Joseph saying is, don't forget to have this counter inside brackets. Yeah, because we don't have like for each vowel, we need to take care of the counter, right? And before we always used in there's something like I, so no difference. You can just use I instead of counter. It does the same thing. And very simple. Let me just see if I do. Can anybody say why my code doesn't work? I just brought those things here, and actually it works, but show me some error here. Okay, the best is not to have that thingy. Just remove that. Now it is fine, right? It works the same way. And guys, everybody knows right now, you can simply convert this one to 4, just reviewing what we had before, bringing this guy inside, and then just having updater, which is this one, inside, saying I++, and it's gonna work. You might say, Reza, is it always preferable to use for each instead of using for? Now, the answer is, if for any case you need to have the place of the element and mention the index or index plus 1, for instance, you want to say, my apologies. We have this in the I position. It is too much, guessing everything in my mind. Okay, so you see that I want to have the index to show where it stands, right? So in that case, you need to use for, not for each. Okay, so by saying that, let's move to the next example. And it's another version. I'm not going to take your time to go through it, but this time, compared to the previous one, if you see, it is more readable. Honestly, guys, thanks goodness, today, before I come to the class, one of my colleagues from 20 some years ago sent me a message saying that, Reza, I saw that you had a big company and it was the opening, and please, if that happens, hire me. I was like, that never happens, but that's a good dream. Anyway, if I want to hire someone for developing, and if I have the company, and if I see that that person has the code like this, and the other person writes the code like this, guys, believe it or not, they work the same way. But if I want to choose, I'm going to choose the person who writes it like this. Then why? Because I'm saying that that person has the same disease that I have, so I like it. And this is saying actually what is happening. It is saying that I want to allocate memory. And we have a concept. Hopefully we are going to talk about it in next semester, or any prof that teaches that, they're going to say to you. We call it constructor. What is constructor? Constructor is responsible to receive your blueprint or your plan and convert that plan, we call it class, into an object. So allocating the memory. So this is, we have car on the left side, we have car on the right side, but they're not the same things. The left side, this one, is just a blueprint. This is constructor. This is the contractor that you hire to build your building. Does that make sense? Honestly, guys, even till a few years ago, I didn't know. I was like, why they are the same name? And this one has parentheses. Then I realized the left side is blueprint, the right side is the one who is contractor and builds things for you. Anyway, let's go to the next example together. Give me a second, my apologies. What is the difference between this one? I keep both in the same page. What is the difference between this one and this one? Okay. Kobe, do you want to step in and say your opinion?
The char array values is on a different line than like the blueprint is on a different line than the construction line.
Excellent. Good analogy. Very much like that. So we have contractor, we have the architect and the builder in the same place, while in here, where is I copied the same thing. My sincere apologies. I'm talking about something that we cannot see it. Did I control this? That control. I'm sorry. Give me a second. Control Y. Going to another version. Where is this one? Oh boy. Yeah. That's correct. My bad. So here we have architect in line number 9, and we have contractor in this line. Okay, Alex, I'm going to get rid of, let me just get rid of the previous example. I'm going to get rid of new car 5, and it's going to work. True, false?
True.
Let's see.
No.
No. So the thing is, and that's
Oh,
actually, the thing
I
is,
see.
yeah.
I got confused because I thought it was in the first line, if it was char vowels equals the array we have, then it will work. But on the new line, it's not gonna work.
Exactly as you said, if they are in the same line like this one and this one, they are similar. Does that make sense?
But Professor, on the previous one, is it because of the like right after char vowels, you broke it up into a separate line with what do you call it? That comma? Semicolon?
Mhm.
So
Listen,
if you removed it, would it work?
no.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, look at here. In the previous one, you are saying that this is an array, and I'm gonna take the full responsibility. I means computer. I'm gonna take the full responsibility of saying equal to this one, right? And I know that how many elements you have, they are all happening at the same time. But if the architect is somewhere and then you want to build something, you are not sure that how many, where is the architect? So how can I ask questions? Just have this analogy. But the only reason is it's just confusing for compiler. They should be in the same line, right? So that I can understand. Anyway, if I bring it like this, still it works, and I can just get rid of this like that, and still, I'm sorry, it works like this too. Okay, what is wrong with you? Car vowels. Okay, good. Let's see what's left here. So to save your time, I'm gonna ask you, please, just run these two codes separately. And I want a brave person to explain the whole thing. It's not anything different. I want you just to step in and just explain this to our team members. What is happening in this one? Take your time.
I think it's adding 3 to every number.
Excellent. Great. So if I run that as Joseph correctly saying, but how can I understand? Uh-oh. I need to have something similar to this then, right? Saying, Joseph, can you help me?
Yeah,
What
we
should I
have to do a console write line.
Okay, so I should say, let me just say j equal to 0, huh? And definitely it should be integer, j equal to 0. And then as long as j is less than the length, just console write line. What do we call it? What is the thingy? It's marks at j. I think that I'm missing something here. I don't know what I'm missing. Can anybody help what I need to add? There's just one.
J plus plus. I
I
said it
wrote-
before the pop-up came out, if that helps.
I ruined my whole life by installing that. Okay, so let's see if it works. Yeah, you're right. So Alex the Great. Alex. And as you see, it's going to show you. But let's just, and I'm not going to touch the keyboard. Please merge these two together, guys. Means just have one loop that you add. It's not a trick question. It is easy. So just keep this one that you add and you show the updated value. Can you do that? Farhina, thank you. Just type that only line for me. Excellent, Alex. Who else? Excellent. Yes. So based on what I learned from you, I'm gonna just say this one. So I merged those two together. Thank you, Joseph. Let's see if it works. As you see, we just add the values and then we update it. And here it is. Okay. So let's go together to the
Professor,
yeah.
question.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of understand the concept behind it, but if you did the console write line after the counter plus plus, it gave me an error all the time, right? I think it's saying it was out of the boundaries of the array.
The reason for that is, let's just see what is happening here. If I just say, whatchamacallit, if you say counter plus plus here, what's gonna be the things? Actually, in the logic that we have over there, it says that out of range exception. And the reason for that is, imagine that what is counter? Let me just make the things very, very short and small, something like that. And then we can relate to it by using the, what do we call it? That breakpoint. And I have a point on that. Before I get to it, what is gonna be the first round counter is gonna be 0, right? And we are gonna say marks dot length is gonna be 3. So 0 is less than 3. So add 1 into it. It's gonna be 1, right? And then it is going to say, show me the counter 1. So it's gonna show you this element, not this element. It starts from there. That's the first problem. And the next thing is it's going to add actually that into it. And next round, it's going to be, counter is going to be already 1. Is 1 less than 3? Yes. So now it is going to be 2, and it's going to show you this one technically. Am I right? So you have 67, you have 73, and add 3 into it and show that, which is going to be 76. But the problem arises in this step. The last step, counter is 2. Yes, 2 is less than 3. But then you are going to say add 1 into counter. It's going to be 3. And we don't have any element with index 3 in the list. Does that make sense?
It's because the index is 0, 1, 2.
Exactly.
Right. Okay.
So that is what.
Okay.
But
Okay.
now I leverage your good question to say, is it possible that I make the code even more compact? And that is going to be how I can just use this. It works the same way. Oh, let me just get rid of that. I'm sorry. It's going to work the same way, right? But it does the job in the same line. Does that make sense? And look at this one. It exactly gives you the same problem. If you say plus plus counter. Okay, because first it adds value into it and then it does the job. But that's the difference between plus plus I or I plus plus. Let me just bring it back to it. Anyway, very good question. Actually, you asked the question that I wanted to answer here. And yeah, I just combined those two. I said combining both assigning and printing in the same place. But the next thing that I want you to do is imagine that you have, and I'm going to copy this part, hopefully before we reveal more. Yeah. You have the copy of that one. Adewale, thank you. I'm going to just consider your name as well. Okay, so guys, would you please calculate the sum of these numbers that we have in array called primes? Definitely we need to have a variable, and then whatever you get, you need to add it into that thing. Does that make sense? Good job. Shohan,
Yeah.
good job. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
One of our team members said before that Reza, 4 hours is too much for one session. I give you all the rights. So hopefully in a few minutes, we are going to have another round of break. Okay, let's just see. Kevin, merci. Bravo. As always, Michael. Michael, what is the compiler that you're using? Because what is the IDE? Do you use JetBrains by any chance?
No JetBrains. I'm just using plain old Studio.
Okay, nice. Because it always brings the line numbers.
Oh, no, that's just using the text box.
Okay.
So if you hit the little text with the pencil, the format thing, and then hit the 3 dots that show up on the far right, there's a code block. So I just used the code block, put the code in there.
I see. Nice. But I like it. Awesome. Yeah. Nice. Okay, great. Alex, did you discover that we have some company in other place too?
Oh, you talk about my cat?
Actually, Shahan has a cat as well. Shahan, do you have it close to
Yeah.
you?
I have one cat.
Yes, so we have we have more cats in the session. Awesome. Okay, what is this cat's name? Alex?
Oh, mine is Simba.
Simba.
He's
Yes, I remember you said that. And Shahan, what's your
Mine is Toto.
let's call it Simba too. It's easier.
And there's another larger one.
Wow.
wow.
Wow. You have a collection of friends over there. Beautiful. Nice. Awesome. Okay, with that energy, let's go to tackle another. First, let's see what we have here. And the last challenge before going to the break. First thing first, guys, do you see anything that I'm missing? Do I have any mistake in here? Can anybody tell Reza you could do things better? Yes or no?
Yeah, you have too many lines. Just add sum plus equals to your existing console out and it's done.
Too many. Okay. Oh,
Is it something to do with the /n? Because that prints it in a new line, but you already have console write line that already does that.
oh, that's great point. Actually, I wanted just to have a kind of gap, but you're right. I could just, yeah. Okay. One thing, did you know that? Let me just bring this one. That is funny. Let me just bring this one here and run the code. It's gonna show you all the, you see that the sum is 2, then the sum is 5. It shows you all the way to, if I have it there, instead of having it here, it shows all the steps. You see that? Now it shows just, it shows just one line as the result. Okay. But the thing is, you can just see, let me make the list smaller, then we can get more out of this just thing. Right, so it shows that now it is 2, then 2 plus 3 it is 5, 5 plus 5, 10, 17. And there's one thing I could, Michael, we could just say like this. You could have that too. I don't like it. It's not tidy, but it works. right? It still works. So okay, I just wanted to show that I can say counter equal to 0 and sum equal. Guys, everybody got that? So instead of, this is the first time that we use two variables inside the initial state of the for loop. I just wanted to show you that we can just have int counter equal to 0, and definitely it means that int sum. Look at this one here, we have comma to separate all the things that you want to initial state. Does that make sense, Alex?
Yeah, so originally we have the counter initializer outside of the loop, right?
We had actually this part outside the loop. We
Oh,
had
yeah, right.
int sum like this,
Mhm.
and we didn't have this guy over there. But then I'm saying it is possible to just have this one here too. It is saying it is saying that we have integer counter equal to 0, we have integer sum equal to 0, and let's consider those as the initial state and so on. So everybody can relate to this. Okay, guys, let's just make some trouble for myself. I'm gonna bring this one out, and I'm sure that it's gonna work without any problem, right? We just change the place of sum. Uh-oh.
Yeah,
It's not
outside the
a
loop.
global variable. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, but stay tuned. To solve this issue, we need to wait for 1 week. Next week, we are gonna talk about this, okay? So for now, without knowing what is happening, I'm gonna just bring this one back, saying that let's have integer and let's have semicolon. And I don't, and then it is going to work for now. So it's a kind of band-aid solution. For now, we can just accept it. But let's consider we want two things, and I want you, please, my apologies. I want you, please, to calculate the average. This is our challenge. Can you, I'm gonna give you the whole code for this one. Just please consider average. Okay, what is the result, Shohan?
Let me see the result. So it's not 90
Okay, it is
or 19.
19, correct?
19.
Yes. And Alex, 19 as well. And the other team members, Michael, 19 as well. Awesome. But let me tell you one thing. Actually, the correct number should be 19 point something. If I'm not mistaken, 5 something. So the good thing is when we have the answer, or we can just calculate it using Excel, then we know that we need to tweak something, alter something to make the code work properly. What are your suggestions? Let me just, yes, your answer is like this. Some of our friends, well, definitely, definitely, I know that the average can be something like float or double. And always please remember, whenever you want to deal with something that could have the possibility of being double, use double. If I say integer, no doubt, it's going to show me just 19, as you see. But even if I change this one to double, let's see if it works or not. Unfortunately, still it shows 19, okay? So we need to change something. Can anybody help me?
Is it the variable of the sum? I mean, the type of the sum? Change it to double also? I'm just guessing.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, I was gonna say cast it. Yeah, just like Kevin said.
Yeah.
Would
Bravo.
it be a good practice to just keep everything double, and because it just reads it, even if it's an integer, it still reads it properly.
That's a very deep question that only a person who knows a lot about coding can ask. And Joseph, don't ask in front of the others.
Okay, I'll stop asking.
But well, if I want to give you a quick answer is, you know, you might say, Reza, it is the safest always to use float and double, and that is not wrong. But the reality is the amount of memory that you use for integer is totally different from the memory that you use for something like double. Does that make sense? You might say that, Reza, come on. I have a gaming laptop. I spent 3K, bought that. I have ton of memory, and who cares? Let's just double the size for that. That's a kind of good practice from now that we deal with 10, 20, 100 variables to be very much stingy about the data type that we use. By saying that, I mean we need to use the smallest number size that can fit the biggest value that we have in the list. I repeat it. We need to consider the smallest possible data type that can carry the value of the biggest number. Pretty soon, we are not going to write a program just for 10, 100. You're going to write a program for millions or sometimes billions of records. In that case, it really matters. I hope that I could answer.
Yeah, that
partially.
makes sense. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just now, like you said, it seems that we could use it because we're using small amounts of numbers. But yeah, once you get into the millions, that changes everything.
Yeah. So answering this question still, it doesn't work unless that, yeah. Guys, I'm saying that this is not the best, but in some languages, if you use that trick, it's going to show you the result, right? And if you want to just show, for instance, 2 digits, we can just, and that's another practice. Just please, let's do it later. But this is not the best way of doing that. Let me first reveal what is happening here. I'm saying that the sum is integer, and here I'm gonna say primes.length, and we all know that we do not have 5.2, for instance, number of elements in an array. We have either 5 or 6. Am I right? So we have integer, this, and we have integer. So the result of dividing two integers would be another integer. One of the ways that I don't like, and we mostly used in languages like MATLAB, or R, we use that, we call it implicit typecasting. But the best way is saying that, hey, because I'm gonna use this, please, is saying that let's just make this one double initially, and now you see that it works the same way. Does that make sense? So please change it, and please change it the way that it shows just 2 decimal points. And whenever you are done, please give me just a kind of signal by typing 1. Yes, Michael, awesome. How about, yeah, bravo. Next time I'm gonna use 5. So Pooja, merci. Eskim, thank you. Bravo. Okay, Alex, thank you. So by saying that, we are actually answered this question. So guys, don't worry, you have questions, you have answers as well. One of the other ways that we could do is doing the typecast here, saying convert to double. That's another way of doing this. And by saying that, let's have a 10-minute break, and then we are gonna come back to continue our journey, okay? Thank you. Okay. So let's continue. The next thing is for the for these samples and examples, some of them are too easy for you, so I just quickly go through them. Actually, let me copy them for you here. We can just try at the same time. I want you to guess what is happening here.
Does the split give us the opportunity not to put, like, for example, Mary had a little lamb. You don't have to put each word in quotation.
Joseph, whatever your diet is, keep it.
I just see it in front of you compared to the previous ones, right? The other ones you have to put these.
Complete answer. Bravo, bravo. That's what it is. So we have actually a sentence separated by space. So we are gonna say split it based on what? Based on spaces. So this is going to be elements number 1, index 0, index 1, index 2, and so on and so forth. Does that make sense? If you want to, for instance, having colon or comma or other things, we are gonna pass it as the parameter to split. So we have examples for that, okay? So we are gonna, the default, it is like comma separated, Michael. CSV, the default value for it is, you know, Python, right? If you say read table, the default is tab separated. If you want to do anything else, you say sep equal to comma, for example. If you want to say bar sign as a separator, you're going to say sep equal to bar sign. So we have parameters to say split it based on this, right? Okay, by saying that, we know that it is going to take the sentence, and it is going to split it based on the space. So this is going to be the first element and so on. So I'm going to just get rid of the rest. And let's see what is going to happen. So it is going to say, Mary had a little lamb, and everyone, because of right line, appears in one line. But let's go to the next example together, and that would be, yeah, this is the only that part. I want you please try this one, everyone, and see what is happening. I'm gonna give you the code. This time, I want you to just spend a few seconds. They are easy, guys. I'm telling you, definitely you have no issue. You remember Alex once asked that, Reza, what if I say X instead of numbers? Is it gonna work? And now we see that it works perfectly fine without any issue. And then I'm gonna just replace X with number and then saying for each number inside numbers, print that, and it works the same way, right? Okay, let's go to the next example. This is exactly implementing what we talked a few seconds ago. So, and how about this one? Give me a second. Yeah, here we are saying, and I'm gonna pass it to you. I want you please to find actually something. We have just one line of code that we didn't experience before. You see that randomly we have different numbers, 3, 2, 6, 8, and so on, all the way to 4, 0. And I don't know what is the role of this one, but the result is slightly different. So Kevin, any idea?
It just simply runs the array from the largest index to the smallest index. So if there's
Exactly.
10, so yeah.
It is going to start from the last element. Last is gonna show first, second last is gonna show second, and so on and so forth. Bravo. Do we have something like sort? Apparently it didn't say anything. Hopefully it's gonna, yes, we have that, right? Okay, so how about this? I'm gonna type that one. I'm gonna type this one saying reverse. And what do you think is gonna happen?
The reverse?
It reverses your sorted order.
Which is going, the default is in ascending. Doing that is going to make it what? In descending order, right? So it's going to be from 9 to 0. Okay, now, Alex, one of those teasing questions. I'm going to bring this reverse first, my apologies. And I think that it's going to show you the same thing. 9, 8, 7, and so on and so forth. True or false?
False.
Alex, what is the reason?
Well, first, you're telling it to rearrange the array in reverse, so we'll go from 0, 4, 7, 5. But then you're telling it to sort it, so we'll sort it from smallest number to large number. So since that's the second command, that's what it's going to show us in the end.
Lovely, excellent. So guys, if you say reverse, technically you do nothing because finally you are going to just sort it. You know? So that is why it's going to show you again 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9. But if you first sort it, then reverse it, it's going to first sort it from 0 to 9, and then it's going to make it reverse on 9, 8, and where are you? 9, 8, and so on. Bravo. Great. Okay. How about this? I said it's sort here. We covered that. The other thing is sort numbers. Yes. Uh-huh. Uh-oh. What is this one? I can't understand. Okay. Guys, sorry. Anybody can tell what is happening in this code? Because I tried it actually, and it gives me no result. Let me just see. So nothing. Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Okay. Okay, type this as you said it in a way that I couldn't just okay. So actually I did something. I said please go to array library and then do the binary search. Guys, this is one of the things that we needed to take care of. How to write different sort of searches. Here you just say, dear array, I want to use binary search. What do you want to do with that? Okay, I'm gonna pass the array to you and I want you to search number 4 for me, okay? So because we didn't say that print anything, it's not gonna show anything. Instead of that, I'm gonna say print the result. And what is gonna happen? It is going to show you, actually, let me just, first we sort it. And if I wanna search for number 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it says that the index of that in the list is index number 6. Does that make sense? Let's search for number 2. And it is saying 0, 1, 2. Although you have 2, it's going to bring you the first search. And because you don't have any value like 5 in the list, it's going to tell you -8. Any negative number is showing that they couldn't find the value that you are searching, and it's going to show you like not found by showing -8. I want you please try this one, spend a few seconds, and we are gonna go further.
Rosa, quick question. Why does it show 8 specifically? Will it show a different number each time?
Actually, it always, I always saw that negative numbers, not for this one. For this one, it shows 8, and you try it on your computer, it's gonna show 8, right?
It shows 8.
Yeah, but in different cases, it shows different negative numbers. So generally, we say negative numbers for when the time that they cannot find it.
So the computer just chooses a random number? Like it shows
That's
a
what,
negative.
that's what I understand. I'm gonna actually search in a sec to see if there's any logic. That's a very good question. My apologies that I didn't search before. I'm gonna just search it. What it is -8 for the following results, not any other negative numbers. Okay, actually, it is saying that, and that's a good thing. Thanks for asking, and I learned something new here. It is saying that because it is sorted, it is saying that 0, actually, index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it is saying because actually it should be between these two, the 8 elements. If we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, should be 5 in this position, which is not. It shows that one. Let's try for number 7. And if the things that I search is correct, it should give you 9 or 10, something like that. So let's just try this. Where are you? Yeah, -9. Okay. Thank you very much for asking. I learned something new.
Question, Rizzo.
Yes.
How come you sorted it? Like, why didn't we just use the numbers that you have unsorted and then just tell it to find it for us?
Okay, what is the reason to have binary search? Do you know what is binary search?
It's just picking out the number depending on where it is in the equation that you're looking at.
Let me give you this example. The binary search is 1, 2, please. Let's just make it a little bit more interesting, 20. Okay. Go to 128. Yay. Okay. So do you see this? Imagine that I ask you, please pick a number between 10 to 1,280. And do not tell me. You're gonna pick, I'm just saying, this number, for example. The binary search is going to go through the middle of the list, which is going to be this one, asking that if the number is greater than or less than, right? Then you're gonna say it is less than, right? So what is between these two? It's going to be 30 and this 300 again. And then I'm gonna say, okay, find the middle of these two. Is it going to be greater than or less than? So it's going to be bigger than that. And then if anybody, so I'm gonna say 16 plus 3, 2, and I'm gonna say equal to this divided by 2. I have a reason that I wrote. So it is going to go to the next one. And then I'm gonna say, is it less than or greater than? And then you're gonna say it is greater than, so it's gonna be 2 equal to 240 plus 320, and it is going to be this one. And again, I'm going to ask, is it greater than or less than? And it is going to be 240 plus 280, and it is going to exactly find that. Look at the number of gray values that I have in the list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of knocking all the doors from the beginning saying, hey, do you have the number that I'm searching? So in that case, you needed to do 26. We are lucky that it is in the first half. We need to knock 26 doors to find our target. Sometimes we are not lucky. Maybe the number is in here, for example, or somewhere else. In average, whatever it is, like 128, in average, we need to try 64 times. Am I right? But right now, we found it in 5 attempts. Worst case scenario, we can find it in 7 attempts. And the reason for that is equal to 2 to the power of 7, which is going to give you 128. Does that make sense? So it is logarithm. That is why that binary search works with sorted list. You cannot do the same thing when the list is not sorted. Could I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Wow, we have ton of tough questions. I should prepare before coming to the class. Let's go to the next one. Okay, guys, how about this? This is gonna be a joke for you, I know, but let's just review our memories when we started today's session. Can you please go quickly to this? This is program number 12 in the slides. And whenever you are done, please give me a thumbs up signal. Let's this time type 5, give me high 5 when you're done.
You want us loading up a PowerPoint, you said?
These are from the PowerPoints that Narendra was provided. So yeah, I try to cover everything. Yay, Skim, Alex, Adewale, Joseph. I'm sorry. Okay. So how about this? Let's have this Control C, and I'm gonna send that to you, to everyone. Please just try the code. We have an array of numbers. It happens that you want to check which number is the maximum, which one is the minimum, calculate the sum for me or the average. And it's going to beautifully provide all those answers for us, right? Okay, just review it for a few seconds. And then let's go to the next example. Actually, this is the one that you see a wonderful example combining prior knowledge to one. And as you see, it is provided by one of our team members. Not last September, but a year before, September 2023. Zach was one of the team members. And after the first semester, oh, I said Zach. After the first semester, I always remember he was amazing, amazing. He said that I want to pursue my programming in a kind of advanced level. And yeah, anyway, I wish him the best of luck wherever he is. Let's see what is happening in here. It is asking that how many numbers you want. Imagine that, yeah. Imagine that this is kind of dynamic thing. You want to calculate your average GPA for the courses that have the average of the current semester, not the overall. So Reza has only 3 courses this semester. For instance, Alex has 7, Michael 6. So the numbers are not equal. I'm just fabricating numbers, right? So I want to calculate the average of courses that I took, I mean the score. So here I'm gonna say, let's have 3 courses. In one of them I get 78. In the other one I got 45. In sport I got 90. So let's see. Okay, the sum of all the courses is 213. And the average is 71. Am I lucky not to have any? Did I do it correctly? So I got the things. I got the, it says that user array. Yeah. Look at the things that we have here. And I didn't pay attention if it works fine or not. Look, here I'm saying, I'm saying user input is going to be the number of courses that you want to take. For instance, how many numbers you want to sum? 3. So that is going to be 3 in here, user input. I'm going to create an array that has how many elements? 3 elements. Does that make sense? So when I get to this line, I already know what is user input, and that's the only issue. So then I'm going to say for I, when I is 0, as long as it is less than 3, means for index 0, 1, 2, totally 3 numbers. And say, what is the value that you want to enter for that course? Why I said counter plus plus? Because I didn't want to say course 0. We start from 1. And then we add that into, we get that and we add it into index I. So 0, then 1, then 2. This is how we get the numbers and place them inside the array. Does that make sense? Okay, after we are done, we are gonna say, let's call some average method. So I created one method, and that method is very simple. We pass an array, and using the knowledge that we got a second ago, using max, min, sum, average, these kind of things, we are gonna say, hey, the sum of your numbers is this one, and the average of the numbers is this one, and show me. Okay, just everybody, please try it, see if it works.
Sorry, I'm a bit confused. In this code, do we have 2 arrays or just one array that just keeps getting updated?
Actually, we have just one array.
Because we have integer user array and we have integer Oh, okay, okay. Never mind.
Okay, that's a good question. This one is defining a method, And that method is saying, if you pass any array, I'm gonna sum up all the elements and I'm gonna calculate the average of all the elements showing just 2 decimal points.
Yeah. I see.
Okay. Bravo, yeah, correct, Michael. Okie doke. So, guys, if everything is fine, by just covering this, oopsie, why I closed that?
Sorry, Reza, could you copy paste it into the chat? The full code there?
I'm going to, this is the full content, I hope. I'm going to copy the whole things that we covered today to the course content right before the end, including this one. So the first one is an Excel file showing that example of house and so on. But before we go any further, if you remember, before the midterm, we started using, what do we call it? These methods practice in the lab. We started doing a few examples. I think we covered 4 or 6 of those examples. But this is something here saying method sum. I said some fun. If we have time next week, we are gonna take care of this. I didn't want to spoil the joy of working on it because it has the question and the answer. But for now, let's just quickly see what we have here. Oh, I have forgotten to, guys, my apologies. I'm gonna just quickly in front of you, just do a little bit of change. Yes, that's it. Okay, so the topic, declaring an array, and I don't know why I didn't save this. So Control S. It just the things that you saw in the examples that we had and we worked together. I just brought them into all those things. Do I need to change anything else? No. Okay. The next thing is saying array part 2. I quickly go through to see if I missed anything. One of the things that it is saying here, using for each, but we didn't talk about, and you see that reverse, sort, and binary search. And the thing is, what if we have a 2-dimensional array? It's a good question. Oh, there is a chance if we have only one series of numbers, we call it, well, array or vector, right? If we have just something like this, right? We call it what? We call it array or vector. So simply, you're going to use that for each. And the first element, imagine that it is 7, then it is 0, then it is 2, then it is 1, 3, 5, 7 again, and so on. So array, vector. What if we have something like multiplication table? You remember that we had something similar to this. Here we have, let's just make it 4 rows. And then we have, imagine that only 3 columns. Reza, why you're doing this when you have something like this? Okay, in that case, it's going to be, for instance, here, 4 rows. I'm gonna just use that thingy. And we have the values, imagine that 2, 3, 6, 1, 0, 7, and then we have 2, 3, 3, and then 1, 4, 5. Huh? One quick question. If it was just one row, I knew that I needed to say for each x in what? In that vector, just show me the elements. Am I right? But whenever you have 2 dimension, guys, what do we need to do? When it is 2 dimensions.
Are we talking about flattening or?
Flattening is a kind of advanced way of doing that, but a very simple thing is, first, I'm gonna say, take this one out for me. That is one. Work on this, and then go to the next. We want to say something like that. First, we are gonna say for row, guys, this is pseudocode for row in matrix, right? Then we are going to say for element in row, right? Huh? Then we are going to say print, please print element, right? It is going to say for row, so this is going to be the first row. We catch the first row here. And then we say for element in row, so take this one, then take this one, then take this one. Do we have anything else in row? Where is that print element? Do you know what I'm saying? Do we have anything else here? No. So what we do actually, we are going to go to the next row and then do the same thing on this row. When we are done with every element in the second row, again, we go for the next row to upper loop. Look at my, give me 1 second, please. Okay. Can I have your attention? Look, for row, this tennis ball gets into for row. Then it goes to for element, it's going to loop like this, and then goes back to row slowly. And then second row, it drops to the second trap for elements in row 1, 2, 3, and it goes back all the way. Now we are on row number 3. It drops to, guys, look at this one. Now it drops here. And I wish I could just make it to show. Anyway, you know that we are here. And it's 1, 2, 3, and it goes up. Now we are here. Now we are here. The last row, it goes inside it 1, 2, 3, and then finish. Does that make sense? Guys, it's like a ball. It traps into, now let's just play it again. Here we are in this line, means here when we run. It goes to the first line, 2, 3, 6, printed. And then we go to the next, right, here, and we are here as well. We trap 1, 0, 7, and it goes back again here and goes to the next line. And inside that trap, it goes 2, 3, 3, and then do it again. Does that make sense? And imagine that instead of having just one, what if I have two sheets that on the first sheet we have these numbers, on the second sheet we have another set of numbers. Does that make sense? Means this is going to be one sheet, and we have another sheet, guys. You see just part of the other sheet from there, and I'm going to show with this color. This guy is going to be with different color. Could you imagine that there are two different sheets? Everybody could get that. The only thing that you need to say here is as simple as this: for any my apologies, matrix in pages, right? Just have one more loop saying that, hey, for the first page, then I go the first line, then I play with this ball iterating over the elements. Then it drops to the second row of the same page, doing it again. When you are done with the first page totally, first matrix, you're going to just go to the next page of the matrix. Does that make sense? The thing is, our brain is designed to know single number. A vector means one dimension, two dimension, or three dimensions. We cannot easily think about anything beyond three dimensions, but the logic is the same. If you have 10 dimensions, you just need to have 10 nested loops. Did you get the whole idea? Kind of, okay. That is more than enough for now. I'm not gonna bother you with more than two dimensions. That's the promise. But we just want to have an idea. Look at this one. Is this familiar? Okay. We just work with one line of values, and that is vector. Okay. Sort, we have done that. And look at the binary search, we have done that. How about this one? Is there anything new here? Alex, you see here, we didn't say only open, close brackets. We said open bracket, comma, then close brackets.
So it's two vectors in one array?
It is two-dimensional.
Two-dimensional.
Right? It is two-dimensional. One of the ways that you can easily understand how many dimensions you are dealing with is as simple as that. Count the number of either beginning or the end of your curly braces that you have. How many do we have here? Two. How many do we have here? Two. And I realize that this one has a mistake in the, now it is correct. Yeah. Now it is, oh no.
You were gonna pull back the array of numbers and be like, actually, it's three-dimensional.
Yeah, well, which is not correct. For this example, you got it. And how about this one? You see this? That's what we said. We have one dimension here and one dimension over there. So this is what we can just use. And let me just do one thing using that. Is it easy to change the color to something that makes it maybe this, okay. And that one is not very much eye appealing. Now it is good. Okay, Control S. And now we have these dimensions. By saying that, let's go to, where did we leave off? Okay. the scope. What is a scope? Alex, do you remember I asked you a question? I said let's bring some inside for loop, and it worked without any issue. But when I wanted to print the sum outside the block, then it says that, hey, I don't know that. Okay. And Joseph, I remember I asked similar question, the way that you asked that, what is the use of integer or double? Let's just make it simple and make all the numbers double. I asked my prof, I remember, wow, it was 29 years ago. I asked my prof this question, and he paused for a few seconds to just bring all the knowledge, and he did a good job. He answered correctly. I said, why should we bother using local variables, using global variables, using block variables? And guys, you have all the right saying that, hey, Reza, you didn't teach any of them. Why you are expecting us to know? I have a point. I want you to remember this example whenever we go through the code. I asked that, what is the use of that? So it's going to be confusing to have 3 levels. Let's create all the variables as global variables. You might say that, Reza, how about having not enough number of variables? I can say, hey, you never finish numbers. Instead of saying num01, say num001. Make it global. Num002. Have 3 digits to distinguish all those variables. Did I make it clear? Means in the whole class, define just global variables and do not use local variables. Do not use the one that we already said. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Michael, can you do me a favor? Can you please, this is not the text, or is it? Oh, it is. I'm gonna just use that as example for friends right after that, okay? And he said, we have one concept named reusability. Listen to this. He said, we have something which is called reusability. Means that, imagine that in part of your code, you just want to calculate tax, right? And total price. So you get the value, calculate those things internally, and just return one value, like the amount of tax. Am I right? So if that is something for the tax that you use for, what do we call it, for products, it's not the same amount of tax that you apply for salary. If you just say tax for all of them, wow, you're going to have lots of troubles. Let's make as much as we can every modules as separate islands that you just look at it as a black box. You pass some values, you get some values out of it. If there is any problem, you're going to just fix that specific module. If you make everything globally, it is not easy to find a problem. And it reduces reusability. Does that make sense? Very much thank you, Michael. Let's just quickly see what Michael was kind enough to provide for us. I'm going to add that to examples.
So is the what we're talking about now is different than constant variables, right?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Constant values, constant variables is not the most accurate way of saying, because whether we have constant or I'm sorry, just give me a second. I'm very much DOS. I can't do two things at the same time. Sure. Okay.
You just love them code blocks, eh?
Yeah. I'm sorry, that's me. I know. Okay. So, well, yes, the constants are something that we have and we do not want to change, like the number of months, the number of days in a week, or we do not regularly change, like the tax. So we place them somewhere and we promise not to touch them. But global variables are the things that you can change them. We're gonna get to that. Let's everyone see what is happening and why didn't Michael, you're just okay, you're gonna be part of the history. A wonderful example. Talking about 2D arrays done by Michael Booty. Mikhail. Okay, so and Control C. It's way better than tennis ball idea that I had. So next time I'm going to use this. Let's just see, guys, that is the tennis ball that we see here. Let's see what is going to happen. We actually wait for 100 years. Okay. We go to the next for each stuff in stops. Okay. And did I use proper thing? And then we go to the next, then we say for each, guys, the first thing, it's going to take this one, this line. And the next is going to say for I in there, look, what are the things that we have? It is showing in the lower part of the screen as well. So now it is showing the first element, which is going to be 1, if you see here. And then I'm going to, my apologies, let me just have them side by side. And then going to the next element, and it's going to show 2, then the next element, which is going to show 3. And then we are done with that row. See what's going to happen. It is going to go to the next row, which is going to be here. And it does the same thing, showing 4, 5, and look at this one after showing number 6. We don't have anything there. It goes back to the outer. So now we are in this line. So and it's going to show that kind of thing. Does that make sense? Okay, awesome. Thank you very much, Michael. Am I allowed to just change one thing here? And that's the naming.
Yeah, go nuts. Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay. I might just only change and say row, for instance, in matrix, that kind of thing. But I like this one as well. Okay, so let's go to the next thing that we were about to talk, and that is the scope. Look at this one. We actually talked about methods, built-in methods, and we are here talking about the scope. But before getting any further, guys, I very much do not distinguish these two. It is saying that when a method is called, the things that is passed to the method is called an argument or arguments. It is saying when you are calling methods, you talk about arguments. And in the method, the thing is received is called a parameter or parameters. When you are writing methods, you talk about parameters. Guys, I always say that the things that we define inside parentheses, when you define methods, you can either call them arguments or prompters. That is me. You can just pick this one or the simpler version. What is scope? It is saying that this deals with the visibility or accessibility of variables. A method is like a mini program, yeah. You may declare variable inside a method, a method, or even inside a block in a method, okay? Michael Grammarly is fine.
You're asking me if it's grammar correct?
Yeah, just want to, because I'm gonna upload this. I don't want to.
The last one was the thing is received. It should be like the thing that is received or that's received on the previous slide. This one I didn't write.
Okay, do I need to change anything here? The correct version of it?
I mean, the statement seems correct to me.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Thank you. And guys, please feel free. That's quite education for me. Say that, Reza, that slide is, by the way, I just changed these slides, try to add stuff into it, but I would be grateful if you find anything and I can just make it better. So send me email saying that Reza changed this one. Let's see what are the scope of the variables in this example. We have class program. Look at this one. It is saying that static int var a in this block of class. And what is this one? We call it a class level variable or global. Means that variable a can be accessed outside any methods. We can just initialize the values outside any methods. And look at this one. We say static void, for instance, main, or static void method b, right? Does that make sense? And we say int var b. What is happening here? Get back to that question in a few seconds. And look at this one. Here we are saying int var b, which is accessible inside method b. And look at this one. Am I allowed to use var b inside method c? Guys, please tell me, am I allowed? Yes or no?
No, no.
Okay, great. You see, this is just accessible inside this method, right? Whenever you get outside that method, you are going to say goodbye to variables inside that method, including, for instance, var b in this example. How about this one? We have var c in method c, and we have a block of code saying that
So D and E, they are only working the for loop.
bravo, yes. And let me just double check if we have enough number of these things. This one for this one, and this one for, yeah. Let's say this, or instead of that, the best is to bring this one over. Sorry, the number of packets. Okay. Look at this one. Here we are in method C. We don't have any idea about variable B because it is the lifespan or the scope of the variable B is just inside this block in this method. How about this one? We go a little bit further inside a nested loop. We define variable D here. Does that make sense? This one is accessible all over this block, right? Maybe even to make it a little bit clearer, I can use this, right? Okay. And for this line, okay, awesome. Now I can just see everything clear. Look at this one. If I define variable C, definitely variable C is accessible inside for loop. Is it clear for everybody? If I define variable D inside for loop, the outer for loop, it is accessible inside inner loop as well. But let me ask you, Joseph, do you think that variable E that I define inside this loop, is it accessible in the outer loop as well? Yes or no?
I think yes.
What do you think, guys? Do you think it is accessible?
No, I don't think it's work outside the loop.
Because I see that it's within the block in the for loop, the initial for loop that was entered.
Okay. But the problem is, you know, whenever you are done with this block of loop and you go outside, you say goodbye to the variables over there. It's a little bit confusing at the beginning, but you're going to get used to it. Okay. So if you define something like this variable C in the method level, everywhere inside there, you have access. If you define something like this inside a block, if you have other nested blocks inside it, you can access this one in any other blocks that you define inside the parent block, we could say. Right? But if we define something in inner block, when you get outside that module, it's not going to be accessible. It is already gone. Okay, so let me just save it. I think it is, and let's go to this one. Here, I like, actually, I changed these things yesterday. And look at this one, variable A. It is saying that inside method B, look, Joseph, we have access variable A and variable B. Does that make sense? Let's go to the next method, method C. Here we say we have variable A because that's global, right? And we have what? Variable C. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Inside these four, well, let's just make it like this. And this one, let's make it like this again, Control S. Okay, inside here, when I define D, what are the variable sets that I can access? I can definitely access variable A. I can definitely access variable C that belongs to the method. So in that block, I can access that one too. And also the one that I already defined there. But look at this one. Did I mention variable E among this list?
No.
No. Now I go to nested loop, a block inside this block, which I define variable E. I can have variable A, yes. I can have variable C, yes, because it's in the method. I can access variable D because it's the outer block, and I can have that variable E as well. Is it clear? Is it clearer compared to
The previous one, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But how come variable? Oh, never mind. I see, because it's a separate method. Okay, I see. I got it. Never mind.
Let me just see if the brackets are. If I press enter, then the problem is the other bracket is going to go away because of the things that I have written. Sorry. But it is just the explanation of this that we have already covered. Going to this one, it is saying that, and the next question is something that I asked you earlier, and I'm 100% confident that everybody can answer them. And that is, what happens when multiple variables with the same name occurs in the same scope? Meaning that actually I wrote that example last night, so let's just enjoy it together. Look at this one. We have a program. I define integer a equal to 10. Joseph, is it clear here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And then inside there, inside the program class, I define a static void main. And then I defined another a equal to 15. Hey, if they were in the same level, it should say that, hey, you cannot name the same value. It's like saying int a equal to 10, int a equal to 20. It's going to say that. So it shows that this a is not that a. Am I right?
Mhm.
This is a class level, and this is a method level. Does that make sense? And then look at this one. I'm saying hello world and so on. And then I say display a menu, that kind of thing, right? And then inside display menu, I defined another A. So we have three different A's. One is global, one is local to this method, and one is inside a method inside that main method. And I say print A. What do you think it's going to print? Is it going to print 10, 15, or 20? What is your guess?
I think 20.
Okay, how many says 20? Please, let's have a kind of vote. Tell me which one you think. Alex, 20. Who says 15? Guys, whenever the voting happens, please participate. If not, then people like Trump comes to power.
Or like Trudeau.
Okay, the problem is me, Alex. I started. So let's go and see 20. Okay. Look at this one. As you guessed, majority, it is going to find the nearest. Please run. Okay, finally. It is going to print the nearest one that we have. Does that make sense? Because here is it is the nearest A that it could find.
But in the previous method, if it asked the user to input a number, that number would be the one that's printed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, excellent. If I say here, let's after hello or inside hello world, guess what? If I use that thingy A, Alex, I'm broke. I can't. So let's just have this one and say, look what's going to happen. Inside that, we have 15. Does that make sense? Okay, but let me ask you one thing. What if I just comment this one? What is going to happen?
Why is it error? I think it's gonna be work, but there is a red line under A.
There's no
Oh.
scope, there's no A in the scope of the method, so it can't actually use that variable. It needs to, if it's outside the method, then it needs to reference it outside the method, etc. So, yeah.
Actually, before you want to raise that, I just tried to fix it, and you see that now it works, right? But what I did, I said static.
Yeah.
And I want to get back to Michael's question. Okay. You have all the rights to say, Reza, after you explained, we just get a small fraction of what you explained, but put this explanation aside. Later, we are gonna understand. The main reason is I do not have any clue about it at the moment. So this needs something like 5, 6 sessions, 4 hours to fully understand what are we talking about. But a very broad definition would be like this. I said everything in C# is either class or object. Am I right? Okay. Guys, what is this one? Here we say class program. Class is nothing but a blueprint idea. Whenever you say the name of a class, then equal to new, then you're going to create object based on that class. Is it clear? Like the things that we already had, like we said, we have arrays, but before initializing the values, that is just idea. The left side is just declaration, not bringing that to any physical object. When you say new, means create something based on that. Everybody could follow till this moment, right? Okay, listen to this part. A class is nothing but a blueprint that we want to just have idea. Later using them, a class like program class has some functionalities like actions, like move. Guys, imagine that. What is the functionality of a car? Moving, braking, right? Accelerating. Those actions are the methods that we have for car. Imagine that an ideal car, you are sitting there, you press the button saying that move, it starts moving. Does that make sense? So imagine that any class could have some functionalities, we call them methods. Okay, but any class has some attributes. Any class has some things that, for instance, a car, color. It is not doing any action. It is just an attribute. Does that make sense? So you're going to say white, for instance, white color. Number of seats, 4, 5, whatever. The horsepower, let's say 300. Everybody could relate to that. Yes. The other attribute, 250 miles per hour. And listen to this part. These are either functionalities or attributes. We call them fields too. But Michael asked, how about properties? Am I right, Michael? Okay. So what are properties? Imagine that nobody's around. I'm going to say, let's have a car with the speed of 1 billion, 1,000,000,000,000, and then I just ran away. So that poor car is going to turn into powder, right? I should have a kind of condition to control that. So technically something between action and keeping the values, something not purely method and not purely attribute, something between them. Am I right? And that is what we call property. Let me just give you another example. Imagine that you want to get scores from students. If you just say, hey, who cares? I'm going to just put any values that students enter. If it is between 0 to 100, it is kind of acceptable. But what if a person just looking at the numbers 80, forget to press enter, and the next number is 70. So it's going to be 8,700 for one score, which is not correct. Am I allowed to have a kind of mechanism to control that the number should be in a specific range between 0 to 100, and in any case outside the range, raise an error or say something, that would be property. So property has a kind of action to control and to have security over the data. It is not purely attribute, it's not purely method, something in the middle. Could I explain that, Michael?
So basically a function?
Function or method, it is not purely function, purely method. And don't worry, just know that. And I promise to say that as the last thing that we are going to have for today. Or if the recent, if I can find previous one, maybe this one shows, hopefully. Okay, yes. So look at this one. That is what we called class. That is what we called object. And we said, for instance, if we have object, it should be based on a class. And one example is like this. So we have a class called product. It has some attributes and some methods. Does that make sense? But the thing is, we need to have something between these two to control what we want to pass to our attributes. Properties stay in this white line between these two. It is something that we control before we pass it to there. Just for now, please accept this. And actually, one good thing, I'm going to send everybody. Please save it somewhere. And the good thing is they are general. They're not specifically for Python or for C# or anything. These two talking about UML, and then we can just talk more if you have time at the end of the semester about that. My apologies if I was not ready to explain it clearly. That was a very, what do we call it? Nice question. And I needed to provide some shapes, bring more tennis balls to explain it better next time, Michael, I promise. But I hope that I could just give you some ideas that we have class names, we have attributes, we have methods, and if you want to have control over attributes, we call it properties. And you can see that in this video. Let me just show you just that part. In this video, unfortunately, the gentleman, which is a very knowledgeable person, unfortunately, he's saying that what we have, we call it field, attribute, or properties, which is not very accurate.
Hi, my name is Zach, and I'm with LucidChain. Specific number range. Hopefully our zoo examples have helped explain those concepts, but I want to show you what a real-world example would look like. This is a UML class diagram for an online shopping cart. And if you want to look at this diagram with me, just click the link in the top right corner. You can see that the system has several classes and relationships, so let's walk through a couple of them. We'll start with the user class. It's got attributes for user ID, password, login status, and register date. This is a sample class.
Okay, so I think that it talks about the methods, and it started with methods. And somewhere here, it says that we can call it attributes or something like this, which is not very much accurate. That's what we already discussed. But in general, that's a video that's very much worth watching it. Okay, guys, now it is 1:20. Thank you very much, as always, for joining the class. I enjoyed your questions. I actually learned from the questions that you asked, and hopefully I try my best to design a very simple, easy to follow assignment to cover what we learned today without the part that talks about the scope. It's going to be next week's assignment. And if there's any concern, question, please let me know. Next week, we are going to talk extensively about the last test that we have together. Thank you very much. I'm gonna close recording. Take care of yourself. I have some sessions with you, with some of you guys. I'm gonna be ready for those sessions. Have a wonderful one. Take care. Bye. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.